Hi there, I'm Barry Allen, and this video I'm going to talk about a very simple memory palace for Mandarin words. Maybe you're a beginner in Mandarin, maybe you're working towards HSK1 or HSK2. One thing you've probably realized is that Mandarin has a lot of homophones. That is two or more words that have the same pronunciation but totally different meanings. We have this in English as well, such as the verb saw, I saw you, or the noun, a saw. But in Mandarin, there's so many of these, and it can really confuse people, including me. That's why I made up this technique. It's a memory palace technique where you group together homophones, i.e. words with the same pronunciation, but with different meanings, to make it a lot easier. So let's get started in building our first memory palace. For this, I'd suggest that you choose a place you know very well, maybe the house you grew up in, or maybe the house you currently live in. I will give you an example using my memory palace at the place I live now. So this is what we'll do. As I walk in my house and I turn right, I come to my bathroom. So what I'm going to do is, all of the words I'm going to place in this room will have the pronunciation Yao. Okay, that is Y-A-O in Pinyin. Yao has many meanings, but in HSK1 and HSK2, the two meanings that I'm going to look at today is Yao as want, to want. So, how am I going to visualize this word? Well, when I think of want, I think of the band Queen and their song, I Want It Now. So, as I walk into my bathroom, I see Queen singing a song. They're singing it, I Want It Now. The second word I'm going for is Yao, which also means medicine. So what I'll do is, I'll imagine that Freddie Mercury is singing the song. As he's doing so, he's popping some pills, which are medicine. The key with this, to remembering, is to exaggerate everything. So I'm going to imagine all the colours in this scene should be really bright. You don't want anyone wearing grey in your head. And also you want everything exaggerated, such as the pills he's taking are big pills. He's drinking loads of them. They're falling out of his mouth as he's singing. At any point that you can bring a comedy or something disgusting or something crazy or disturbing, anything that will get an emotional response out of you is a good thing when you're trying to make new memories like this in mnemonics. Something boring, where just like, oh, I walk in a room and there's a man reading a paper. That's boring, you're not going to remember that. So always just let your mind go wild, go crazy. Okay, and the next room, I move forward in my apartment and I go into a living room. And for this room, we're going to have the pronunciation Kuai, K-U-A-I. And in HSK1 and 2, the three main meanings are this. The first one is fast. So for that, I'm going to imagine the Flash sitting at a table. Okay, because the Flash is fast, obviously. And the second meaning for this would be kuai, as in currency. Sometimes people say, oh, give me 10 kuai. It's like same as yuan. So what I'm going to imagine is that the Flash is counting money, but he's counting it. Being the Flash, he's counting extremely fast that you can hardly see it. The third word I'm going to remember is chopstick in the word kuaizi. So not only is he counting the money, he's sorting it with a pair of chopsticks in his hand. Okay. So again, you just want to use all of your senses. Imagine it's old money and you can smell the dust in it or something like that. Anything like that you can draw on will help. You can even imagine he's doing it so fast that a cold wind pushes against you in the room. So anything like that helps to use your senses. Also, one thing to keep in mind is always view these scenes from the first person. That is, imagine you're standing in front of the scene. and you're looking at it from that perspective and not from a bird's eye view, because then you don't feel as involved in the scene. That's what I'm saying. Okay, and for our last one, when I turn left out of my living room, I walk into my kitchen. And for this room, we're going to have the pronunciation ma, just M-A. For this, I will imagine my mother in the kitchen, because that is the first meaning. Ma means mother. And while she's in there, she is watching the television. And on the television, there is a show that I used to watch a long time ago called Question Time. And that represents the second meaning for ma, which is ma. It means question. You put it at the end of sentences and it asks a question. But on this TV show, rather strangely, the host is a horse. And that is the third word we're going to remember. Ma is horse in Chinese. And again, it's very strange. It's a strange scene. So I'm going to remember this, like, what? A horse hosting a show? It's ridiculous. So it will be something that you more likely remember. The fourth word for this will be ma, which means to scold or abuse. I think the best image for this would be my mother doesn't like the show so much that she pours boiling hot water over the television to scold it. So there we go. Those are the four words for that room. And again, these are just examples that I'm giving you, but ideally you want to make your own examples. And when you think of a word, the first association that comes to mind, that is almost always the best word for you, the best image for you to remember this word, because it's more personal to you. Now, you might be wondering how you're going to remember what the pronunciation is in each room. Quite often I find that you will just remember anyway. For example, the last one where the pronunciation was ma. Ma, as the word horse, was one of the first words I learned. So if ever I go in that room and I see a horse, I know the pronunciation for all the other words will also be ma. But sometimes that's not always the case. The first room was Yao, where we had Freddie Mercury singing and popping pills. For that one, you could have the basketball player Yao Ming standing outside the door as a kind of signpost to remind you what the pronunciation is in that room. For the next room, which was Kwai, that's a bit more of a tough one because there's no word in English that is Kwai. I always think the word Kwai, it's as though somebody with a speech impediment is trying to say cry. So, as a signpost, I imagine Guns N' Roses singing the song Don't Cry. Or you could just imagine anybody crying out there. This technique isn't perfect, but for beginners, it's very good at giving you a good foundation and just learning lots of words quite easily. Even though they're only one-syllable words, even though they're only one-syllable words, they can also be used, connected with other words to make two-syllable words. But for people at HSK 1, HSK 2, it really helped me at that point. Another thing with this technique, it doesn't tell you which tone each word is, but I'll be doing a part 2 to this, where I'll show you another technique that you can layer on top to help you remember what the tones are for each word. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, just ask below.